Welcome to a YouTube Live product launch for SAMURAI. This is the product right here and right here. Steve, do you want to say some ground rules around comments?
Absolutely. Steve Jones, head of marketing here at Sparx. And if you have any questions at all, just drop them in the comments in the chat and we will get to the questions. But Russ will first give an overview of the product, kind of how we got here, and pretty exciting to finally launch this product. It's been a few years in the making.
So we began by innovating and revolutionizing skate sharpening. If we all think back to 2012, 2013, many of us actually had a Wasoda skate sharpener at home, and it allowed us to sharpen our own skates, but it was quite difficult to do. There was a lot of technique involved, a lot of experience, and Sparx launched the skate sharpener, which you see right here, which made skate sharpening super easy to do for anyone. We call it democratizing skate sharpening, in that it lets anyone with the push of a button sharpen a pair of skates. That lasted for many years with different models of Sparx sharpeners coming out, and we improved other aspects of the skate sharpening process as well. Namely, we improved the manual edge checker, and then we launched Beam back in 2022, I believe, which Beam made edge checking and then the resulting adjustment of the skate sharpener super easy to do as well, because we were frustrated with how hard it was to edge check a pair of skates and then adjust a machine to get level edges again. So Beam makes that super simple. There's one last step in skate sharpening, which is deburring. And this is something that we're all familiar with, that sharpen our own skates, even with Sparx. We have to take the burr off the edge of the skate blade when the skate is done being sharpened. This is something that we all do at home, those of us that have Sparx, and even the NHL equipment managers that have been sharpening skates for decades, they all have their own technique. And what's crazy is you can ask 10 different equipment managers, how do you deburr skates? And all 10 of them, or 10 of them will give you 10 different answers. And they all have their unique recipe that they think allows them to deburr, but they'll also say that this technique that I have doesn't do every pair of skates, and there's still nuance to it, even though they've been doing it so long. So a few years ago, we set out to fix deburring, to make deburring as easy as we've made sharpening and easy as we've made edge checking. We needed to make this basically using a rock to take the burr off of a skate. We needed to make that easier. And we actually had several different concepts where we took these deburring stones and put them in holders to allow you to grip them more easily, to apply force more evenly. And it didn't solve the problem. And we kept coming back to, most of us in our lives, we own screwdrivers, and they work fine. It's a manual device. It's very intuitive how to use it. But we also have power drills, cordless power drills. And once you own a power drill, and while you can go use a screwdriver to screw in a screw or drill a hole, if you own a power drill, like you press a button and it does it instantly, and you kind of never go back. And we have saws to cut limbs off of trees, or it's almost holiday time, and to cut down a tree, and this works really well. But there's also power tools that cut limbs off of trees at the push of a button. And once you own this, you're never going to go grab this. And the last analogy I'll give you is sandpaper and the use of like a palm sander. And once you have a palm sander, you might have a stack of sandpaper, but if you have to sand something in woodworking, you'll never not go grab this palm sander. It just makes it so easy to do. And so with all of these power tools around us and these manual deburring stones, we asked ourselves, could we make the equivalent of a cordless drill for taking the burr off of a skate? Something that's as easy as the sharpener, it's as easy as Beam, where at the end of the sharpening process, you would just pass the skate through it or over it or whatever, and it would just take that burr off effortlessly, consistently, without damaging the face of the skate blade and without damaging the edge that you worked so hard to put on with Sparx. And so today, we're going to tell you about Samurai, the new product. We're going to show you how it works. We'll go through the whole sharpening process. But I wanted to start off by showing you these very common examples that all of us have in our garages to do manual chores with a power tool. And while you could use this, if you have access to this, you'll never go back. And we think the Samurai product that we're introducing today is exactly like this analogy. Once you use Samurai, you'll never go back to doing it manually. You'll never go back to the frustrating task of deburring with a stone.
Before we get into the machine, Russ, like how important is deburring? I think some people have said, I don't even deburr. Maybe I'll do it sometime. Just talk about how important actually deburring is in the whole sharpening process.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're sharpening a skate, you are grinding into the bottom of the skate blade, the hollow, and the act of grinding is going to push some metal out past the edges of the face of the skate. So you'll have, you have the two faces of the skate blade, metal will be pushed out through the grinding process outside that face. And what you really want is you want the hollow and a very smooth face so that you have that bite, that edge cleanly going into the ice and giving you grip for turning and stopping. Any burr that's extending past that face is going to be resistance in the ice and drag. So what you want to do is you want that nice, clean, smooth edge that you can actually put your fingernail sideways on and push down the edge, and you'll feel if there's a burr, it's jagged, and you can imagine that jagged edge gliding through the ice in this direction will slow you down. So if you're trying to get a nice, efficient skate sharpening, you absolutely want to try to take that burr off. And some burrs are super stubborn. They if you have a very light burr, it might even come out with some friction in the ice. But in many cases, that burr is stubborn and it will stay on there. Even if you leave it on and go skate, you'll come back and you'll feel it. So, it's our belief that if you're spending all of the time and attention to put a really nice, clean hollow that's very smooth, and you're trying to maximize your speed on the ice and reduce friction, you absolutely have to take that burr off. And the way we've all done it, up until in the last couple years when we started building Samurai here, is that you'll take a honing stone, like the Sparx honing stone that it comes with, or the more sort of advanced, these honing stones are more commonly used in the NHL, the much larger ones of different grit sizes, even gummy stones, deburring blocks. You'll use some combination of these tools and you'll push it along the face of the skate blade to try to, in essence, sand that or grind that burr that's extended past this surface. You're trying to like grind it flat again. And this has several limitations to it. One is the burr sometimes is really stubborn, as we said, and so you could do this, and then you come back, and anybody who's been sharpening skates anywhere knows that frustration of like, well, I'm trying to get this burr out. And by the way, quick public service announcement, we always recommend if you're doing hand deburring like this, you wear like safety gloves, so like a leather glove or a shop glove. Here it's much easier for demonstration purposes to not have it. So you'll pass this stone back and forth, being safe, wearing a safety glove, but you'll still have a stubborn burr. That won't always take it out. And so that's when all of us that have a Sparx or have any manual sharpener or any other kind of sharpener, the NHL equipment managers that have much larger industrial sharpeners, they will experiment around with different grit level honing stones. They'll play with gummy stones. And you're trying to get that burr off without going past the surface and damaging the edge, without rounding that sharp edge. And more recently, in the last probably 5 years, there has been the advent of all of this, we call it vanity steel, the skate steel that is mirror finish or black finish, or there's even some painted steel that's out there with like, you can get steel with camouflage on it. Any of these techniques that I've talked about with honing stones, the odds that you're going to damage that surface finish is really high because this is just a manual process and it's hard to get the burr off without damaging the surface. In many cases, you're using that surface as your reference. So to your point, you have to take the burr off if you're trying to get a really great sharpening. Can you use manual tools like honing stones, gummy stones, abrasive pads, leather strops? You can use all this stuff, but it's incredibly frustrating. And even the NHL people, there's not agreement amongst equipment managers on what combination of these tools works best. And we sought with Samurai to get this chaos out of the process because we've solved the sharpener, we've solved edge checking, and we get done with this like awesome process. And then we're like, especially if we have like, you know, kids or teens sharpening the skates, you'll say like, okay, go sharpen your skates, but give them back to me so I can deburr them. So we built this innovative product that the owners of this product really feel like this deburring step should really be done by somebody who's, you know, you can't kind of give that away to somebody who may not have some skill or some safety. And so we wanted to close the loop, provide a full like end-to-end sharpening solution that's push button easy, takes away any of the ambiguity around how do you deburr, makes it incredibly effective, incredibly safe. And that's what we did with Samurai. And the other thing, I said it earlier, once you use Samurai, it's just like the cordless drill. You'll never go back because this it's confusing, it's many times frustrating, and you have the potential to actually damage the sharpening that you work so hard to put in with Sparx and with beam and getting your edges even. Samurai just finishes it off super easy and gives you a nice, clean, perfectly smooth edge. And you'll see in a second, it takes 1 second and that burr is removed. Any other things?
No, I think one thing I have always said is, you know, you have $1,000 pair of skates and a premier piece of machinery here that sharpens skates, and then you're doing one of the most important things with literally a rock. And so that's why we started really thinking about how can we make this, using all these tools, an expensive skate, and get things perfect. And that's why we came up with this machine, not using a rock to deburr.
And I, you know, before we even kind of unveil having it work, you know, we've even seen comments as we've prepared to launch this product, where people will say, "Oh, it's a solution looking for a problem." This was 100% a problem where we were trying to find a solution, and we're super excited about this because for those of us that have had it for a couple of years in various incarnations in our garages and stuff, as this has been developing, it's like you'll never go back. Like you'd have to like take it out of my dead hands to get it away from me. Like it's just such an amazing product that it's almost got the aha moment that the sharpener does. Like when you first use Sparx and you press a button and like your skates are done in 2 minutes, and you did it like in your pajamas in your garage, you're like, that's amazing. Like, how did that happen? Like, how did I live without this? This honestly has the same experience where this super frustrating last step in the sharpening process is now just whoop, you're 1 second, you're done. So we're excited to launch it today. It's actually already in the NHL and many teams. So we've been just launching this off and to all these different teams, and hopefully maybe we'll even post a picture. We actually had in our production area maybe a week or two ago, we had like every NHL team with all the logos all over them, and it was a really cool shot. So maybe we'll see if we can find that picture.
What has the feedback been from the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, so there's been some very prominent NHL players that have actually gone out on this, and you know, it's pretty cool. We get texts from the equipment manager saying like, and we probably can't say, this person actually skated tonight in their game, you know, and they loved it, and the feeling on the ice was just unreal, and then that like virally spread through the NHL, where like the first team that got it and had an awesome experience triggered like all these other teams to be texting our salespeople like, where the heck is my, you know, Samurai? And then, you know, we've also launched it in some of our, we have some close commercial partners, and so those have launched, and so New England Sports Center in Marlboro has been using it. We have another sort of close friend that runs a shop that does a lot of embroidery, and they're using it, and they love it because they can deburr skates without getting their hands all dirty, which then wrecks all the embroidered clothing. So they can go back and forth between sharpening and doing embroidery without actually having to like wash their hands every time. But without further ado, let's get into it and show you the product, and then we'll probably chat more about some of these other things. Do you want to?
So why don't you just walk through kind of, I know some people have already asked, what's the dial for, some other things. So just walk through kind of the machine setup, what everything means.
Sure.
And then maybe show everyone the ring or the disc.
Yep.
And then we can do a skate.
So, so we'll start with this component here. So this is the lifeblood. This is like the grinding ring that's inside the sharpener. This is a proprietary compound that we've been working on for 2 years to develop, and there's multiple materials in here that both provide the structure for we call this the deburring disc. So it provides the structure for the disc. It carries an abrasive that's actually used to take the burr off. There's actually a proprietary shape to the disc so that when we're actually touching the face of the skate blade, we use the face of the skate blade as our reference point, and this angle that's on there is the angle which this disc actually makes contact with the blade. And so we can never damage the edge because this material and this angle touch the face at the very edge of the skate, and it rotates and it pulls or pushes the burr off without rounding this edge and without damaging the hollow itself. So that was super critical, is that all we wanted to do was atraumatically take that burr off, like surgically. We want to go in there and actually just remove that burr without changing anything to do with the surface finish of the blade, because anybody that's got black steel or mirror finish steel, painted steel, the cool thing about Samurai is you never have to worry about damaging that. We spend all this money and we design different patterns, we put our numbers, our names on that steel. With Samurai, you never have to worry about deburring, messing with this face of the steel. So that's a really big thing, especially for the pros. A lot of those guys all have, guys and gals all have personalized steel with their names and numbers on it. So this is the heart, this is everything. This is how the machine works, is using this. And then the way in which the machine actually interfaces with the skate blade is, again, through a proprietary system where that disc, which has got this shape on it so that it uses the face of the skate blade as its reference, that disc can push away from the skate blade, and we define and maintain a certain amount of pressure between the disc and the skate blade. So we never push too hard, and the amount that we push is always consistent. And so this is the magic. It's this material and this proprietary system that's sprung loaded. And so all of that fits inside this this dust collection tray, and then we have a groove here inside or in this area, and the skate blade. If you want to back the camera up, just so I can, I don't know if you can still see, but the skate blade is passed through the groove, and when it's running, this disc will deflect back out of the way, putting a precise amount of pressure, and all it does is take that burr off, usually in one pass, and then you flip the skate over and repeat the process. And so you don't damage the surface, you don't damage the hollow, and all you do is like surgically remove that burr. This dial that's up here, this dial advances the disc as the disc wears. So the disc is a consumable in that, again, it's a material that's soft enough that it doesn't damage the blade, but it's tough enough that it removes the burr. In the process, it does consume a little bit of the material as the blade passes through. And you can actually see as I do this with the machine off, the disc will displace out of the way, but that angle keeps it perfectly where we want it to be to remove the burr. The groove that you see here is designed for a 3mm skate. I believe we will have a track or a groove here that will be able to fit a 4mm skate. This component right here is the mechanical stop as you're advancing the wheel as it's wearing. This steel component won't get damaged as this wheel advances, and that actually, this is the gauge component that is how you decide where to adjust this wheel, and you'll see that as we turn the machine on, how this small component in here works. This light is really the only other interface. This light tells you when the machine is on, and it also tells you when the deburring disc is worn out, and if the machine is left on too long, the machine will time out, and this light will let you know. And if there's ever an overcurrent situation with the machine, the light will also alert you. So the light is sort of the feedback, the user interface, but it's very, very simple. This is the power button here, plugs into the wall. There's an optional stand, which allows you to have it in the vertical orientation, or you could actually have it in the horizontal orientation. It's very kind of user preference dependent. The horizontal orientation, works just fine. Some people, especially people that have used a manual sharpener before, this is a very intuitive motion for them. If you've ever sharpened skates manually, that motion's very intuitive. The nice thing about Samurai using that motion from the manual sharpening is that in our case with Samurai, it's very, very it doesn't matter if you've got a little bit of a tilt to the skate. It doesn't matter really about the speed that you pass the skate through. It's very, very insensitive to little fluctuations in how you pass the skate through this groove, differently than, say, a manual sharpener. A manual sharpener, everything has to be absolutely perfect to get the edges even. In the case of Samurai, we went back to this technique because it worked well and, again, was very insensitive to any sort of fluctuations, speed, angle. All you have to do is get the skate blade to pass through the groove and the burr is removed and everything else is perfect. So let's...
Yep, some people in the chat are asking, you do get a ring when you buy it.
Disc.
A disc, sorry. Keep calling them grinding rings. But you do get a disc when you buy it. It comes in the machine. And did you touch on how many pairs of skates you
I
get?
did not. The disc we anticipate lasts about 200 pairs of skates sharpened. So it lasts a really long time. Obviously depends on how many times you're gonna pass it through. The one that I have at my house right now, I've actually almost never adjusted it. It's lasting a really long time. I tend to do 3 to 4 cycles every time I sharpen. I sharpen once a week or twice a week. I skate twice a week. And then just basically it's flawless. I go once through, I can feel that burr is gone. I go a second time through, and based on our calculations, that should last me 200 sharpenings, but I can tell you it's like I'm not really adjusting this dial all that much. So
it will last a long time.
It's a long time. It lasts far longer than your grinding rings. Yeah, so that's where we are.
Perfect. Let's fire it up.
Yeah.
See it in action.
We'll do should we see this in action first, or should we go through the whole process? Okay.
Let's get right into it.
Should I turn this at all, or do you like it
Sure.
in this orientation?
All right. Turn.
So here we go. So again, if I was going to be deburring by hand, I'd be doing this, and I'd be wearing a glove to protect my hand, and I'd probably be going I'd probably be taking a gummy stone and also going, because I'd have a stubborn burr, and I'd make sure that it's all removed, and then I'd take a leather strop and I'd do that, and then I'd check. With Samurai, I'd turn it on, I adjust till I hear that audible noise. That's the disc touching the adjustment point that we talked about before. There's a little metal disc in there that tells you when the wheel is at the right location. And then I pass the skate. And that skate would be deburred perfectly every time. Like I use this every week, in some cases multiple times a week, and I'm honestly never, I use steel like this Fly X or Fly TI, and in one pass, the burr is gone. There's no messing around with multiple hones, multiple grit sizes, gummy stones, the Scotch pad, the leather strop. I'm done with that. Like that's perfectly deburred for me. I sometimes do take it and just take a leather strop at the end just to make sure it's nice and clean. Then I put the skate cover on there and I'm off. I have zero frustration now around deburring, where in the past I was always just sitting there kind of, there's a stubborn burr here up on the toe, and I'd be trying to take that out. It's now as simple as and the burr is gone. It's like magic for anyone that's actually felt it. And so one of the reasons why we wanted to have this YouTube live episode was because we were recently at the CCM World Invite, and Steve was there and others were there, and the demo for people, showing them a skate getting sharpened, which I think we'll do in a second, and people feeling the burr and then passing this skate through Samurai once, twice, and the burr gone is like, people can't believe it because of just how frustrating this was. And just like the screwdriver and the drill, it's okay if people still want to use a honing stone to deburr, but I can say that if you really enjoy having a product that works incredibly well, works every time, ensures that you get a great result and makes life easier, and Samurai is the product for you. So that you absolutely can stay manual, but it's just like a cordless drill. Once you have it, you just never go grab a screwdriver. With that, should we?
A lot of people are asking about, does the stand matter? I know you touched on it, but just show people the stand does not matter. It's total personal preference.
So here's the unit on the tabletop, and again, you just put the skate in.
Some people find that
through.
even easier that way to do it.
It's easy in both orientations. It's sort of what you're used to, because I kind of grew up and started Sparx because I owned a tabletop sharpener. I spent years figuring out how to do this motion fluidly, and so for me, when we were building Samurai, I knew, like, when we would put this in this orientation and try it, I was like, oh, it's so natural for me to be here. But we have people who have never sharpened a skate this way, that when they do this, they don't want to do it that way. So I think it's personal preference. And both are easy.
One thing you touched on too, Russ, was like, if you have that stubborn burn on the toe and you got to sit there and really work it, just show how easy it is to, like,
totally.
If you get that one burr at the end of a toe, you don't have to keep passing the skate through. You can just touch the toe by itself.
Because of the way the deburring disc uses this face of the skate as its reference to where it can't push past this face, you never have to worry. You could just do this and touch down on the skate and remove a stubborn burr, and it won't damage the edge that you're trying so hard to keep nice and sharp, or the hollow itself. We don't want to mess with the hollow or the edge, because we worked so hard to make that edge super sharp and the hollow nice and smooth. And so we can, to that question, like if you have a stubborn burr in the toe, you can kind of do like that and just take that stubborn burr off. Super flexible.
And then what about people, touching that ring or disc? I keep saying ring, disc.
So it's smooth to the touch. If you were to stop it or come close to stopping it, the machine would overcurrent and turn off. But you can touch it, and you can see, if you can see close enough, the ring moves out of the way, so it's not rigid, which probably adds to why it's so compliant and won't hurt you? And it's a great question to ask, because this takes deburring, which was a stationary sharp blade that you were sliding a stone over, where your hand is moving relative to this sharp edge, and you've completely removed yourself away from that edge now, and there's really nothing at this point that you have to worry about. So it like takes that away from it too, and this is why I think it's been so successful in the retail and the commercial sharpening spaces, where you have individuals sharpening, you know, hundreds of pairs of skates in a day, where your mind might get distracted on other things, or you have teenagers wanting to use the sharpener. This way you can basically give anybody the task of deburring, and you're not thinking about, oh, did you put on your leather gloves? Are you going to damage the edges? It just takes deburring and makes it so easy. It's like any of those power tool to manual tool analogies. It's just like if you value, like Steve was saying earlier, we spend $1,000 or $600 to $1,000 on a pair of skates. We spend about $1,000 on a sharpener. If we want an easier edge checker, we make that investment. The last step of the journey here is deburring, and you deburr every single time you sharpen. And so an investment in something that takes deburring from a frustrating step that's got a lot of potential for it to go wrong, and making it just something that's like as easy as like a cordless drill is for like putting in a screw into a piece of wood. It's a no-brainer. And all of us that have Samurai, and all the retailers that are using it, and the pro teams, like, it's just such an eye-opening, pleasurable experience from something that was so frustrating.
Yeah. And I think on the safety issue, I know a lot of people let their kids sharpen. My kids, when they started, were 10 years old, they were sharpening, but I would always deburr. And so, as Russ said, now anyway, if younger kids sharpening, they're excited to sharpen, but you'd always take it away. Now they can deburr easy. You don't have to worry about, you know, getting close to that blade with the stone. So
we had another story in one of our staff here at Sparx was sharpening. She's a coach, and she was sharpening for like six pairs of skates before a game this past weekend. And you know, you kind of get the, you know, people know you have the sharpener, and then at the last minute they're like, hey, sharpen these 6 pairs of skates, and you know, she's obviously got the other responsibilities of being a coach and get the team ready, and the ability to just have the skate, you know, press a button, walk away, and when the sharpener turns green, just to come back and like
so much faster.
Yeah, the deburring step is that, and now you can go back and do what you were doing again. This like cave person part where you're doing this goes away, and it turns into like a 1-second activity.
Perfect. Couple other questions we're getting. Does it hurt? Can you hurt the edge if you're off a little bit in that channel?
Absolutely not. I mean, you want to come in, you want to approach the deburring disc from inside the channel. You wouldn't want to go straight at the product. There's this arrow here which guides you and tells you, hey, you know, put the skate in right here and just pass it through. You're relying on the skate to displace the wheel and push the disc out of the way. So you want to enter from the right side and push the skate through to the left. But honestly, this is soft that it's really not going to, you can go in the reverse direction. It's just not the way the product was designed. We also, that's a segue to, we designed this product to work really well with the Sparx sharpener. So, you know, 2 years of sharpening on Sparx with, you know, the flat ring, the fire ring, the radius of hollow rings, really deep hollows, really shallow hollows. Samurai was validated against every sharpening coming off of Sparx. We also have a really high-powered microscope that we were evaluating the pros using honing stones to deburr for the NHL players, for example. And we were taking those manually deburred skates, putting them on that high-powered microscope, and comparing the deburring of Samurai to the human. and it's like night and day in terms of not damaging this edge. And here's why. For anybody that's used a honing stone, you'll appreciate this. Go pick up a honing stone that you've used quite a bit. It's usually grooved, because when you're going back and forth like this over your skate steel, you will put a groove in the honing stone. And you can imagine if that groove is where the steel is, the honing stone actually hangs down below where the steel is. And so you may not realize it, and it actually might make you think the honing stone's working really great because it's taking that burr off. It's really because the honing stone is beyond the corner that you're trying to deburr, and it's actually rounding that edge that you want to keep nice and sharp. So that's one step. And then the other one, that's one area where a honing stone can ruin a skate edge in the deburring process. The other one is these gummy stones. Anyone that uses these, and we've even done YouTube videos on this before, because it's the way if you have a stubborn burr, the way you get it out is you sometimes take a gummy stone and you put it on an angle to the edge, and you're by definition rounding that corner, that edge. You want a very sharp edge where the flat face of the skate blade meets the hollow. And so a gummy stone may work to get rid of the burr, but you're rounding that edge. And the reason, kind of going more into the theory of skate sharpening and exploring different hollows to get more efficient in the ice, the sharper that edge is and the cleaner that edge is, the more it will act as grip for you in the ice. So it'll allow you to turn and allow you to stop. It will also, if that edge has really got good integrity and gives you that bite, you can begin to get your hollow flatter. And we should all know, that the flatter that the hollow is, the faster you go in the ice. And so if you're routinely deburring and making the edge less sharp, you're gonna need a deeper hollow to get you the grip you need. And so what we're finding is that as people use Samurai, it's giving them a really good integrity edge, a good solid edge, which then gets you starting to think like, hey, I can go from 5/8 to 7/8. And if you've got a really good edge still and you feel like you can grip the ice, turn and stop, maybe you can go from 7/8 to 1 inch. And that's what the NHL guys are doing and the PWHL gals are doing. So we're all trying to, if we're playing at a high level or we're trying to be more efficient as we skate, the flatter our hollow is, the less friction we'll have in the ice. The flatter your hollow is, the better your edge needs to be to give you that stopping power and that turning power. And so Samurai actually enables us to begin to get flatter and flatter hollows because our edge is so good.
Excellent. A couple of questions people are asking. Coated steel, we touched on it earlier. No problem with mirrored steel, coated steel, painted steel. We've tested it on all those and does not take the coating off. So you don't have to go back from a stone to a gummy stone to a leather strop. The Samurai can do all your steel and not impact the finish at all.
Yeah, it's a great question on that, because people are adopting the steel because they like what it looks like. Some people believe or some of it's marketed as the edge is held longer, but you don't want to adopt a new kind of steel that then you're forced to stop deburring because you don't want to damage it. So you can get whatever steel you want, and if you use Samurai, you can still deburr it without damaging the face of the steel. And especially a lot of people are doing like the custom engraving with their names and numbers and stuff. Nobody wants to take a stone to a blade, a runner that has their name and number on it. And so you have people, like, by definition, like tilting over a honing stone to take off the burr, which is just damaging their edge. So especially if you're investing in expensive skates, expensive steel, and then deburring, as Steve said before, with a rock, like, you can do it. Just like you can keep using a screwdriver, but if you own a drill, you're going to grab the drill every time. It just makes life so much easier. And if you own Samurai, it makes deburring so much easier. And most people, quite honestly, are using Samurai way more than they're going to be using a screwdriver.
And I do have to call out Jason on the chat, who said, which maybe we'll hire him on the marketing team. He said they're literally coming out of the Stone Age, which is pretty good. So give Jason a little shout out on that. That's
TM.
Trademark that, Jason, before we take it from you.
Coming out of the stoneage.com.
Coming out of stoneage.com. So good stuff there.
Do we want to go through and sharpen a skate? It doesn't.
I don't think so.
The sharpening the skate's going to put the burr on there.
Right.
You guys can't feel it. I definitely encourage you to try to find find a shop that has it. Find us at one of the events that we're going to. If you want to see it in action. But it's unbelievable how it takes a burr that all of us, you get done sharpening a skate and you can just feel the burr. And in like one pass, the burr is gone. It's really like magic.
Yeah, and I know a couple people in the chat were at Chicago, so they're chiming in. I saw it, I felt it. So listen to those guys, because when you do feel that burr and then one pass and it's gone, you're never going to go back to that stone. I promise you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing product. It was for like a little bit of a throwback to like the history of Sparx. Like when we, in the early days, one of our engineers, Dan, and I, and some others, like when we proved that we could make a sharpener sharpen a pair of skates and then we could skate on it, and it was indiscernible that it was done on our piece of equipment. It was like we couldn't believe what we discovered, And when we figured out the mechanics of Samurai and the sprung-loaded disc and this proprietary material and we tuned everything in so that one pass would remove a burr effortlessly no matter what burr we threw at it, it was another one of these like holy cow moments of just, and it's, we're in skate sharpening. It is, we have this, back to like our TM trademark saying is like, this is all we do. Mm-hmm. We sit around trying to figure out how to make skate sharpening, edge checking, deburring easy for everybody, because we are the customer. All of us still skate, some of us coach, some of us ref. And so all of these problems are so part of our daily lives that this one, for 12 years that we've been doing Sparx, this last step was like, we've got to solve this. We've got to solve this. We've got to solve it. And it's so cool that now like the circle of life inside of skate sharpening is like, we've closed it. It's push button easy all the way through, and anybody can do it.
Any more questions here? Blade holder.
Ooh. Ooh.
Another debut of a product here.
Yeah, look at that.
We're going to talk about it, but we can talk about it now. Yeah.
So this is the new Sparx blade holder. In the past, we had a cam lock, long, we'll find one, a long cam lock blade holder. But now with Sparx Sharpener 3 and with deburring, we needed to develop a blade holder that grabbed a much smaller length of the blade and gave you access to pivot the blade in and out. So you have to approach Samurai at a bit of an angle and then rotate it out. And that required us to make a blade holder that was shorter. And then we also improved how strong of a grip the blade holder actually has on the blade itself. So this new blade holder, you drop the skate blade in, you tighten the thumb nut, and now you've grabbed the blade. And this thing, again, just like Samurai has gone gangbusters a bit inside of the pros, this blade holder is going crazy inside the pro leagues right now. It's doing a great job of replacing another blade holder that's out there. And this blade holder has nice hand grips for you to grab. It's made out of aluminum. It's really, really stiff and strong. You can tighten down. The blade is super rigid in the blade holder. And now this, same way you would do the skate, that's what this allows you to do. So you can still deburr with Samurai with the blade inside the skate. If you want to deburr using an external blade holder, we recommend the new Samurai, or it's the universal blade holder.
And you can also, if you want to show it in
Yep.
the sharpener.
Works the same. Put it right in the sharpener. Much more robust than the old blade holder. If you had blade lifts, that works as well. So it can tip in the jaws with the heel lifts. You can take it out of there after it's sharpened, bring it into Samurai. Another nice thing about Samurai is if you leave it on, which I've done many times, I get done sharpening, I get done using Samurai. If I by accident leave Samurai on, the sharpener obviously is stationary and not moving, but if I by mistake leave Samurai on, at 10 minutes it will completely shut off. In summary, I think we're checking if there's any more comments, but just kind of going back to sandpaper, a screwdriver, all of these manual tools are completely acceptable for doing a task, but making things cordless, powered, takes tasks that are difficult, makes them super easy, and that's what we sought to do with Samurai. So we're super excited about this. We've launched in the NHL. We've shipped a bunch to pro teams. We've begun putting them in retailers, commercial sharpeners, and now we're off, bringing this to the consumer space. Yep. So everyone with a Sparx sharpener can use Samurai at home.
And a lot of people question, it is on the site, both US, Canada now. We are doing a special $249 in the US and $349 in Canada. And that special will last probably a couple weeks. There are limited quantities right now because we're obviously just ramping this up. So if it is something you're interested in, I would get on it quick until there could be a delay in a couple weeks of product. So jump on it now.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our YouTube Live, and looking forward to seeing your comments and seeing this product in use. Please, once you get Samurai, please post it on your Instagram and tag us, post it on Facebook and tag us, because we'd love to see it in action.